As usual, what's going on, everybody? Unfortunately, I'm coming to you live, and it is winter time. Seem to have been lucky with the temperatures here as of lately, but as it creeps into December, the old Fahrenheit Celsius is dropping. So I'm going to share a tip to help keep your bike going for those of you who have to leave it out in the inclement weather. Perhaps you live in an apartment and you can't take it inside with you, and you have to chain it up outside to the fence, and the temperature is going to drop below zero or at least in the single digits for days. This is a precautionary measure to make sure that your bike fuel does not freeze up and leave you stranded in the wintertime. Now, before we get started, you cannot use alcohol, which is in what is in the little bottles of heat, or straight car gasoline antifreeze. That is a no-no for your two-cycle mix. The alcohol will thin out your oil and damage your engine darn near immediately, if not by 100 feet of riding. I've seen it many times. Guys have come by the shop in the winter or called, said they put some gasoline antifreeze in there. Their motor quit by about the end of the block. Did I have any idea what's wrong with it? Yes, I do. I've seen it a lot. Like I said, the alcohol thins out the mix in your fuel, which is like you not putting enough oil in the gas, and it damages the cylinder, and now your bike is no longer running, and you have to get another motor, aka or rebuild the cylinder piston assembly, and or not put any more alcohol in your gas mix. But what does work in your gas mix is a lovely engine treatment. I personally use Seafoam. As you can see, the trusty can sitting here. It is 100% okay to use that. If you see across the top what it is good for. Cars, snowblowers, which a lot of them are two-stroke, an inboard boat motor, motorcycles also, which are a lot of times two-stroke, a tractor, if you happen to ride a tractor to work, a truck, a lawnmower, which some are two-stroke. I don't know if they still make two-stroke lawnmowers, but Lawn Boy used to. Outboard boat motors, which are, well, 90% two-stroke. They do have four strokes nowadays. Snowmobile, once again, predominantly two-stroke. And chainsaws, which are all two-stroke. But it does not harm your two-cycle setup. In the very bottom, it is a de-ice and anti-gel, and does all of these other fine things. We don't have injectors, but it will clean an injector. Does clean your carb jets, stabilizes your fuel if your bike is going to sit. So that is another good plan to mix up some if you're going to park your bike and be a person that doesn't ride it in the cold. Controls moisture in the fuel, aka keeps it from freezing. Two-strokes don't have lifters, but if you have a noisy lifter, cleans deposits. It definitely does that. I run a little in the summertime myself, and it keeps my spark plug from fouling and cleans the oil deposits that build on top of the piston, the head, and my spark plug. Okay, having said all that, I personally use one of my old two-cycle oil canisters as my measuring cup. A lot of bottles have the measurements on the side, as you can see. It calls for 1 ounce per gallon of fuel. So I have my trusty 2-gallon gas can right here. If I shake that a little bit, you can see I've got her filled up to the line. So I will use 2 ounces. I will pour 2 ounces, which is half a bottle in this here particular oil container. And I will pour it right in with my gas and shake it up, and I am good to go. It is protecting me from my bike being froze gas line, froze gas tank, clogged carburetor, and or froze carburetor. Because I know a lot of people, as I said before, that don't have a warm place to park their bike. They live in an apartment, mobile home, or just have a house that you don't have a garage and can't take your bike into. And if your garage do have a garage and it's not heated, also keeps your fuel line from freezing in that cold garage that it's sitting in. If you go a little over on the mix, that's okay. It doesn't thin it out like alcohol. So I have just a smidgen over the 2-gallon mark. So I will probably go up here and eyeball a 2.5, and it will do just fine. Won't harm my engine. Gives me a smidgen more protection just to make sure I have enough product in the gas to make sure when I go out to start my bike in the frigid temperatures that it fires up and doesn't give me any problems. Because if your bike does freeze up, one, you're stranded where you're at. 2, unfortunately, you got to find somewhere to take that dude in, and it's going to take hours for it to thaw out enough to become room temperature with the warm room that you're in to thaw the bike so you can get back out there. And then you're going to end up having to mix some of this up anyway. So to beat all that and cut out all that big hassle, pick you up a little sea foam, mix it up for your 2-cycle oil and gas, and run that in the wintertime so you don't have any problems, and get a treat when you come out from work and you got to ride home and your bike's froze and won't start, and then you got to pedal that bad fellow all the way home or dig up a ride for someone to come get you, and that is just a big hassle. All right, well, that is just my every year impromptu video for this year on how to properly maintain your gas so you don't have any gas line freeze and massive inconvenience.